Okay, I think that should do it. We're live. I am exactly at 8 p.m. All right. Hey guys, welcome to I don't live stream a ton, as many of you probably already know, but with everything going on and the lack of kind of the I don't have as much time to share my thoughts on some stuff as I normally would in this day and age. Not as many, nearly obviously, of getting coffee with people, catching up. I don't know about you guys. I've noticed my small talk skills have very much so rusted. They're a little rusty. So I'm hoping to use this as an opportunity not only to share some thoughts and to share some thank yous, but just kind of go over this year as a whole. For those of you who didn't read the title of the live stream, welcome. It's my birthday. Another year dodging death. Woohoo! But in all that crazy survival, I definitely have learned a few things about life, about spiritual growth, and about my own well-being, and about running a small business, especially a small business in a field that can be as competitive as technology. There's pretty high turnover in technology in terms of you need to be constantly brushing up your skills. It's a uniquely challenging field to work in. Ah, my wife started it off. Hi, Annie. How are you doing? Love you, babe. I went into business, so here's the story here. I actually started my company as a side hustle. I did some side work for some basic IT things, namely because when I worked for a larger company, I really wasn't being challenged. The work was pretty repetitive, not challenging at all, like I mentioned before. It didn't stimulate me. There is a lot of truth in you want to like what you do. If you're going to be doing it for literally a third of your available time, I mean, 40 hours a week, you want to enjoy it. And I really wasn't enjoying what I did. So I started this side hustle well before 2 years ago. And I actually enjoyed the side work. It was kind of fun. I had a kick out of what I was doing and polishing my skills on new projects. And what ended up happening was I was laid off literally 2 weeks after my birthday. Um, 2 years ago, it was end of January. I remember it was February 1st, and they called and they said, "Hey, sorry, we're laying you off." And I went, "Okay, well, I will take whatever I can get, and I already have this thing on the side that I know I enjoy doing. So the challenge was, do I want to take that leap? And obviously, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into starting something from scratch like that. I'm a pretty big believer of when possible avoid debt. So I took the even harder route of I'm going to do my best not to take any loans or anything like that to act as sort of an individual fund for this. And my wife was in agreement. She's got the patience of a saint when it came to this. When I told her I wanted to do, she could see I was excited, and she could see that for the first time in a while, I was kind of getting pumped up about something, not just making money, but actually doing something that I like to do, and she supported me. And I can tell you right now, especially first year even of doing this, there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of starts and stops. If you do your own business, it takes a while to kind of get down a formula of what works and what doesn't. And there's some stuff you can do to kind of hedge your bets a little, but in a lot of ways, it's trial and error. You got to figure things out for your own when you're running your own business. Um, Welcome for those of you who are joining in. I'm glad to have you. One thing that really came to mind this year is people, there's an inner need for individuals to connect. No matter how introverted or extroverted you are, people will tell you if you hang out with me in a social setting, I am not the most social butterfly when it comes to outside of work hours. I spend all my time at work talking to people, dealing with people, being polite to people. So usually when you catch me in an off hour, I can be more of the quiet, withdrawn type. I know, crazy, right? But even I was feeling it in this time of the year where, we're all looking for valid ways to connect each other, especially right now where the traditional methods of connection of physically seeing one another, That's true across the board. Whether it's business, whether it's home, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, we want to connect. So a lot of what we've done this year is really work behind the scenes to support businesses and implementing technologies that let them do just that basics. Connect. Let them work together. Let them make connections together. And it seems to really resonated well because we are growing. I hired my first staff member this year. That was going from contractors and consultants to actually having someone on my team. That was a huge milestone for me. It's something I had always dreamed about when I was sitting around piping up dreams of what this would look like. I really always dreamed of having a team. I thought I know the pitfalls well too well being a solo shop. And when the buck stops with you and you have no one else to rely on, you become a bottleneck. You become the thing that slows down your business without having someone else with you to help pick things up because we're better together. There's a verse in, I think it's Ecclesiastes, that says a strand of three is harder. I'm paraphrasing, but a strand of one snaps easily. A strand of two is a little harder, but a strand of three makes a tightly knit cord and you can't snap it. We're better together. I think that's true, and I think that's especially true when you're trying to compensate for your own pitfalls. I have my own weaknesses. The other day I was sitting down with a guy networking, and it was kind of cool because I try. I'm busier than ever, guys, but I love to network. I do. I love to meet people and hear about what they do. So I sat down with this guy, and one of the first questions he asked me was one-on-one Zoom call, and he asked me, "What do you think your weaknesses are?" And I said, "Well, that's a good question." So I sat there and I thought for a moment, and I've thought about what I'm not good at before, but to just quantify that into a few easy sentences was, especially on the spot like that when I wasn't expecting it, that was something that I kind of looked at and I said, what are my most obviously glaring issues? Time management, probably a big one, and overextending myself, and ties into time management. I have I need help in pacing myself sometimes because I'm a very eager person when it comes to let's get the job done, but sometimes there has to be someone who says, hold your horses, we need to slow down here. So that's been good to have as a team. We're actually getting ready to expand to another team member, and not counting, shout out to my brother in this. For those of you who haven't met Shane, whether through the business or personally, Shane's a behind the scenes kind of guy. He's not really much for public facing things, but when you stick Shane on something, he gets things done. And I've had the real blessing of having him as a contractor these past couple of years to help fill in the gaps. He's got awesome what he does, also in IT. I'm really happy that he's been willing to help me because there's just been times where like I said, I'm overextended. And even if I know I'm overextended, I'm really overextended. So thank you, Shane. This is my thank you to you on my birthday stream for being such an amazing part and helping me with this as a subcontractor. You've been awesome. And we're getting ready to hire another person too. I think I mentioned on the news stream we were in talks. The formal offer has been put out. Still waiting to hear the formal acceptance, but yeah. Oh, Shane's watching. Shane put a happy face in there. We put a formal job offer out, and hopefully with a formal acceptance, hopefully I'll hear back from them a little later this weekend. We can announce a new addition to our team. So we're excited to have that member joining us, assuming everything goes well. Life this year has been weird. I'm blessed in a lot of ways. I've managed to make a lot of huge life momentous things come about in my life this year. I'm expecting my first child. There's a baby girl coming on the way. That's absolutely terrifying. I'm from a family of all boys, for those of you who don't know. I have two brothers, and literally it's such a man's house there that my mom insisted when we got a dog that had to be a girl dog because she just felt like she needed someone else in the house that wasn't just boy. So I'm getting ready to enter that arena, and I'm sure I'm in over my head. Actually, I know I'm in over my head. We got our first home, real home, not a rental apartment, and we love it. And for a year that was started off to be pretty rough. It's shaping out to be an amazing year of my life, of a lot of big changes, but good changes. Um, I say a lot, don't I? let's cut that out, or and that too. In all that change, I'm actually a creature of habit. I don't like change. I like stability. I'm doing it. I'm working on it. I'm going to use you guys as practice here to start working on my dramatic pauses. But I'm a creature of habit. I don't like change. Change makes me uneasy. My wife really, 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 really will let you know about that. I don't do well with change. So to have so much change so quickly in a year where everything has been so tumultuous, and I mean, turn on the local news, turn on anything, not that I'm recommending to you. I'm personally at the point where Twitter feels like someone's constantly screaming at me whenever I open it, so let's try not to open it. But in all that change and uncircumstance, I found real spiritual growth because consistency sometimes is the enemy. Not consistency, what's the word it is? Habitualness? Monotony, maybe? Maybe monotony is the word I'm looking for. It's the enemy of growth. In that when you're not being challenged, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for my relationship with God. There wasn't a whole lot of opportunity if I'm not being challenged for Him to work on me, for Him to pull me out into the word I like to look at, I think of is, don't know who that is. Someone's calling me, but we'll hold off that for a second. The word I like to think of it is like a forging, where you're working on the impurities. You're constantly shaping. And if you guys ever watched the show Forged in Fire, I love that show. I think it's so cool to watch blacksmiths and watch how they take this lump of metal and they work on it and they heat it and they shape it and they polish it up and they keep putting more and more effort into it. And as they put the shape and the function of what they're making becomes more and more defined. That's how I think of a lot of my journey. As the forge is the world around me, and the maker is my relationship with God and God Himself, with Christ, and He's just hammering away at me over time, polishing me up, and He's doing it at His own time. I don't get to say how quickly I become a lump of metal to a polished product. He's been working on me this whole year, though, and challenging me in new ways. I have to work on balancing family and home, home, and work. Being an entrepreneur, I know many of you if any of you are in the similar boat as me, you'll know. Once you get things going, it's very easy just to throw your entire life into something like this and not set aside the time to allow your family to really be a part of it. You got to put time in with them, and you got to stop when it's time to stop. So a big lesson for me was I thought I knew it, but I knew even more once I really started getting into it, that there has to be time I dedicate for my wife, and especially now I have a child coming on the way, to give them my attention, because your business is kind of your brainchild. I am constantly churning out new ideas, constantly thinking of new things. I live and breathe sometimes to what we're going to be doing this day. It is a real blessing. But I have to give focus on also developing my personal life, because all the motivation and stability that I bring to the business front comes directly from my home life. If my home life isn't good, things are tumultuous inside, things are not stable, and things don't get as effectively done on the business side. It all comes back to your own well-being, and part of your well-being is your connection with the family you're with. So for me, that's been important, investing in my family. Even when I don't want to. Because there's times I'm like, I could be doing something else. But then I think to myself, I go, it's an investment. Investments sometimes mean you're not always going to enjoy the process necessarily, but the dividends always pay out. So, small business. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to try to cut things relatively short tonight. Where are we on time? 15 minutes in, okay. Small business is interesting. You're constantly, like I've alluded to before, developing, shaping, making new opportunities for yourself, constantly innovating, and also constantly refining. I mean, just take this live stream for example. I like to think in the 2 weeks since I last live streamed, we've seriously upped our game. I've got a backdrop, I've got some lighting, I got a screensaver as far as beforehand when we're sharing stuff, so I'm not just sitting here staring at you while I'm waiting for things to populate. We're currently streaming to our YouTube channel and Facebook concurrently. By the way, if those of you who tune in after this or tuning in right now, we have a YouTube channel. Check out the link in the description. I really want to start introducing some some content to there because there's a lot of cool stuff I come across on the technology side. If you're an enthusiast or you even just want to learn more about technology and how it can do crazy things for your own life and for your business or for your home, I'm going to be sort of documenting what I learn as not only my own notes, but to share with you because I'm a big believer in teaching and showing people where we can improve things. So yeah, if you want to subscribe, absolutely, please join us down there. That's it for my 30-second plug on YouTube. Back to the original thing, which was running a small business. Running a small business is a little different than being in a 9-to-5 job in that it stays with you a lot more closely. You don't just turn it off when you clock out for the day. I think that's pretty evident, but there's some long-term effects to that. It takes its toll. For example, today, and I'm doing my best today not to do work on my birthday, but I still had to do some HR stuff, because it had to get done today. So I spent 30 minutes this night doing some HR stuff to make sure it all got done, because if it didn't get done today, things were going to go hairy with there. The buck stops with you. So you have to invest your time there too, and you have to understand that it is going to take a bigger toll on you, both emotionally and physically, than your typical working for someone else. Part of being an entrepreneur and being someone who runs their own business, people kind of look at that person and go, "Wow, yeah, they're fine." Like they're. And I'm not talking about uber wealthy people. I'm talking about people who run moderately sized small businesses. But there's a lot extra that goes into that, and a lot goes behind the scenes that takes its toll. It is not for the faint of heart. That is for sure. I read someone else who I have a community of other IT business owners that I'm with on Facebook, and we talk and we pitch ideas to each other. It's actually really cool. I get a kick out of just seeing all these things people are pitching around. Sometimes they even help me polish my own ideas and look at that and go, that's a good idea. Maybe I can take my own spin on it. So that being said, someone posted in there saying, whoever wrote about entrepreneurs being the risk takers, like they like to take risk, hasn't actually been an entrepreneur. No entrepreneur loves risk. Entrepreneurs think they figured out something on the bottom line that they can optimize, they can be more efficient about, and they can turn and make into a profit. That's what it is at the end of the day. They think they've worked out a formula to the success. But no one likes risk. And unfortunately, with entrepreneurship, you're always doing a benefits to risk to cost analysis of, okay, there's some risk here, here's the benefit, here's the cost. No matter how good of an entrepreneur you are, you're always sometimes going to fall short in that scenario where the cost outweighs the benefit despite your best efforts. And those hit hard when you have those situations. That's what I've learned this year, where we had a lot of starts and stops. I had several different product ideas and placements that I thought I was going to take off and do awesome with, and I realized as I fleshed them out, they just weren't a good call. So with that being said, it was that was hard. That was hard to admit that, hey, this thing you've invested a ton of time and energy in developing, you need to scrap it. You're done. And sometimes resources, like investing resources. Now, we are growing on this side, but in the beginning, right for the pandemic, we were getting ready to start almost really pushing marketing to healthcare facilities. So for those of you who don't know, we are third-party HIPAA audited for compliance, so that in the event a HIPAA event working at healthcare providers happens, they can be sure that we are doing our due diligence to not get them in any more trouble. We're being compliant. We're having a third-party auditor come in consistently, make sure our paperwork is up to date, our security protocols are in place. That was a huge investment for me. That was huge. And then I get ready to do it, and I paid the money, and it was not cheap to get that third-party auditing. And I'm getting ready to push this entire thing, and all of a sudden, boom, coronavirus pandemic. Healthcare facilities everywhere are going shut down. They're not in emergency response. They're going to hibernation. The few healthcare providers we had as clients were shutting down and putting people on furlough. It was, that hurt. And I know that I'm not alone in that. I was like, wow, okay. So to go back to the drawing table after something like that and say, okay, what do we do now? And put all that work and investment to the side, that's tough. That's really tough. I spent months of my life working on that. So that is something I've really learned this year, that you can have amazing ideas, you can do everything right, and still, through circumstances of no fault of your own, have it blow back in your face. Now, I am excited to say that slowly but surely, as the healthcare industry is coming back, that investment is starting to pay off now. And we're working with existing clients, obviously, and we've started growing in talks with new clients. But for a while there, healthcare was not the industry. We had to shift straight from healthcare to different industries because healthcare was in limbo. So, and I think the big thing about running a business after 2 years is it never really gets easier, in the sense of the buck stops with you. You think you get used to the pressure sometimes, that you just think it's secondhand and you're used to it. At least for me, no. There's times when all I can think about is something that could potentially go wrong, and I'm constantly doing like, how do I fix this? How do I do this? How do I fix this? You think I could shelve that after 2 years of learning to deal with it, but no. Not always. Even today, like I said, on my birthday, I'm thinking, okay, I gotta get this HR stuff done, because if it doesn't get done, I'm gonna have issues tomorrow. I'm gonna have issues this week. It's going to be major pain. So let's do the HR stuff. You think I could shelve it for my birthday? But you learn to adapt with it, and you learn to build your life around it so it doesn't interfere on the other aspects of your life, like I alluded to earlier. So, hang on. Someone left me a voicemail. Aw. I totally lost where I was going with that. I'm sorry. That's what I get for looking at my watch when it buzzed. Being in small business and using technology. Let's talk about that for a second. So, a couple of exciting things. I'm gonna geek out with you guys here. Let me go ahead and exile this to make sure I don't have anything pulled up that's sensitive. No. So we recently found out that, so we use a system to storage that's open source. It's amazing. I had, everything said and done, about 11 terabytes of storage. That's a lot, I thought anyway. And I was keeping that. I was using that for archiving customer data. I was using it to archive important documentation, systems we work on. Every time we work on a system, we make a backup and we hang on to it for a certain amount of time in case something goes wrong. After we restore it, we can always get your data. And I looked the other day and I said, oh, hey, and let me share the screen with you, see if I can share it with you guys. If you look at this top pool right here, you see that 9.9 terabytes, or 92% of it, is used, and there's only 853 gigs left. I have a hard drive here I have to put in that's more than that. So it was time to go ahead and upgrade, and I am as excited and also terrified, because they are not cheap, to buy 3 10 terabyte hard drives and put them in a special array, adding another 17 terabytes of data to our availability. That was really cool. Now we're going upwards of 30 terabytes of data, and I'm super stoked. I don't know, I'm geeking out here, but have that kind of amount of storage on hand to say, hey, we're growing to a point where I can't delete anything else. We need to have this stuff. That's pretty cool. So I am super stoked to have a little more. I geeked out today and had a chance to install my terabytes of storage. Yeah, I know, my Annie, thanks. I know. She hears me geek out about this all the time. I see her eyes glaze over, but she's a good wife. She tries to pay attention and, act interested. So today you can all share with her today on that. But that was a cool thing to say. Hey, we got enough stuff we're managing now. We use the cloud too, but so this isn't all of our data. But hey, we can go ahead and our internal stuff, which isn't on the internet, just the stuff we run out of our business. Let's go ahead and upgrade that. Let's do the investment. So buy some really expensive hard drives to keep on growing. That was fun. I'm going to go ahead in these next couple of months and release some content on technologies that I believe are super useful for the small business owner. Whether you're a business of 1, business of 5, business of 40. We're going to talk about technologies that can be used to address real, everyday concerns that a lot of business owners have and face in the work environment, whether they're working by themselves or with a team or small or large. We have several solutions and products that we kind of customized and gone through. Some open source things that we built for clients to base on what they need. One of the things I love to do, TrueNAS systems. The TrueNAS core is absolutely free. I use it myself. It used to be called FreeNAS. That's what I just pulled up earlier. People need storage in their office. We've built a couple of them at this point to really kind of give them an option, and we're doing things like online cloud storage, backup archivals. What do we do? What do you do when a computer breaks and I need all the stuff on it and I can't be down? How do we make sure that we have a redundancy in place? All kinds of cool stuff. So if you want to see that, that's going to be coming over to our YouTube channel. Facebook I use a lot for communication and for advertising, but I don't want to inundate people with content. So we're going to be keeping that mostly on our YouTube channel. I might share occasional video here or there. So if you want to check that out, please go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to end here today with a thought. Thought being that each year we should be looking back and saying, how have I grown from the year before? So I look even in the last 7 years. I'm 28, by the way, for those of you who are wondering. I don't think I mentioned that. So next year is the year I have to worry about turning 30, because 29 is the year for 30. So I'm thinking about, hey, what have I learned? And kind of looking back of the last 8 years. Let's even just look since I was 20. The person I was 7 years ago is not the person I am today. And that's a good thing, because the person I am today has learned from his experience, has had some failures, has made some mistakes. He's not perfect, but at least I can look back and say, I've taken my life experience, I've taken what has been thrown at me, I've said, look, this is where I'm lacking, this is where I'm good, this is what I need, this is where I have an abundance. And I take that and I shape who I am on a day-to-day basis. And to have a chance to reflect on that and who I've become, and who I hope to continue to become, a better version of myself, through the grace of God, especially, because I could be a bit of a hard-headed mule. That's important, because a lot of times it's very easy in small business entrepreneurship, or even just in generic life, to be really hard on yourself, and to really see all your critical flaws. And in this case, I can say I am better for who I am now because of what I've been through. It hasn't all been great, but I've developed as a person. Thank you guys for joining. This is just a very off-the-cuff video, no script. But I wanted to say thank you to everyone who wished me a happy birthday. Thank you for everyone who supported my company and this vision we've had. We are growing, and there's exciting things in the future. I hope that continues. We pray and we hope that we continue to be a force for God's kingdom, both in my private life and wherever I can in the public sector. Being a business, yeah, we want to make a profit, but we also want to have something more than just money. So we want to actually do something with it. And I'm still, that vision's still taking place, even 2 years later, and what we can do with that. So I'm hoping to share more with that as the vision shapes up and as we grow as a team. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed evening. Stay safe. And if you're in Ohio, I guess enjoy the snow.